Hello, everybody. This is Mike Brown with another edition of Legal Vaseline. And today I'm going to teach you how to look up the table of contents for your case or someone else's case. And as an added bonus, how to pick up girls. So it works like this. What you just saw is called a master docket sheet. Sometimes it's called a docket sheet. It's called a civil docket. It's called a criminal docket. Some places it's also known as a register of action, depending on the state you happen to be in. And what it does is allows you to tell exactly what's been going on with somebody's case by looking at the case table of contents or the master docket sheet. Crap. To the right of the number, there's a date. To the right of the date, there is a synopsis of what went on in that particular day, such as motions, orders, things like that. And what you can do is you can access those through, at the federal level, you can access them through public access to court electronic records or PACER. All you have to do is get on PACER. They'll tell you what to do next if you're computer literate. And once you can look up somebody's case, including your own, then you'll have a really good idea of what's going on. Now, let's get on how you use this to pick up girls, okay? Let's say you're at a cocktail party and you meet some girl and she's a damsel in distress. She's got a legal problem. She doesn't know what to do about it. And you tell her, okay, what's your name? She gives you the name, say, what court are you in? And she tells you which courts, like Southern District of Illinois or Western District of Missouri or whatever. And she doesn't even have to give you the docket number. You can get that from the court clerk. And what you tell the girl is, look, I can possibly give you some help. I can tell you what your lawyer is doing or not doing, which is quite often the case. And so what I'll need from you is I've got your name, tell me which court it's in. Don't necessarily have to have the docket number. And oh, by the way, so that I can contact you to tell you what's going on with your case, I'll need your phone number. And what you'll find is it works fairly slick because there's a lot of damsels in distress out there. In fact, a lot of people in distress over this legal system. So that's how you handle that part of it. You just go look at, something else I have to tell you here is when you call the court clerk, every once in a while, you're going to get some arrogant bimbo that they just hired last week say, oh, are you a lawyer? We can't give that information out unless you're a lawyer. Well, that's complete horsepucky because almost all court records in the United States are public record and the public is entitled to have access to them. And if you run into some snotty heifer like that, you just tell her, okay, you're trying to tell me I have to be a lawyer. Let me speak to your supervisor. And that normally gets it straightened out. Now, you might want to take a good look at the docket that I held up at the beginning of this video, because it illustrates a couple of issues that most people aren't ready for. One of which is the other side, and the other side in this case is the judge, because this was a petition for writ of coram nobis, which for those of you who are not familiar with that particular legal term, it simply is a way to get a case back into court after you served your time. Normally you can't use a habeas corpus unless you're already incarcerated or under judicial supervision. Now what happened here was this fellow filed a petition for writ of coram nobis, and you'll see this all in the docket, and he should have won it, but the judge wouldn't get off her butt. So he put in a motion for summary judgment. You can't get default judgments against the federal government. She ignored that. He then put in a second motion for summary judgment, and she tagged him, but the way she did it was she made sure that he didn't get a copy of it, so he didn't know until months later, till a friend of his got on PACER for him and looked it up. He didn't know until months later that he'd been tanked. So he had to go back on what is called Rule 60, which is a separate issue. But what I'm trying to tell you here is it's quite common for judges not to tell you what's going on. It's even more common for members of the Department of Justice to file what's called a certificate of service. In other words, they're saying they mailed it to the other party, but they didn't. And so what winds up happening is the poor slob who's in the dock, he gets basically ruled against because he never controverted the district attorney's or the United States attorney's motion. So just be aware of that, because there are a lot of people out there, there's a lot of lawyers who work for the government, a lot of judges who basically will cheat. And we can get into that. Well, that would take volumes, but so we're not going to do that today. Today we are only discussing how to look up what's going on in your case at a particular time. I'll give you another example. There was a fella out of Canada, got arrested in Seattle, Washington on a drug case, and he managed to stay out of the pokey for about 10 years. Don't know quite how he did it. His brother was very wealthy. His brother paid attorneys in Seattle $50,000 a year for 10 years. And when I looked at the master docket sheet in a 10-year period, there were 3 entries: indictment, entry of appearance, and I forget what the last one was. But these lawyers hadn't done any work for 10 years, and they were collecting 50 grand a year. Now you're going to find, like your girlfriend from the cocktail party, you may find in a lot of cases that she didn't know what was going on. And when you look at the master docket, she can basically say, oh, wait a minute here. Her own attorney wasn't doing the job. And a lot of times what will happen, if you have an attorney on a case, they'll say, oh, I'll handle it. Well, the way they're handling it is they're just ignoring it and sending you bills. And then when it's too late, you find out, oh, you lost the case because your attorney dropped the ball. Now, let me end this lesson with a joke. Guy goes into a bar and he sees his good buddy, John, and he tells John, you know, I just can't get a chick to go out with me. I can't get one to go to lunch with me. I'm just striking out every time I turn around. And his buddy John says, oh, it's easy. He says, you want to score? Just tell him you're a lawyer. And Tom says, really? That's all there is to it? And John says, yeah, it works like magic. So the next night, Tom goes to a bar, meets a beautiful blonde, tells her he's a lawyer. 30 minutes later, they're back at her place getting after it. And right in the middle of it, he sits up, looks around and says, man, this is great. I've only been a lawyer for 30 minutes and already I'm screwing somebody. So anyway, thanks for watching, and there will be more videos to come. Goodbye.